the meeting's been called to order, and then we'll call attendance. And let's go around one more time and introduce ourselves for the record. Go ahead.
My name's Ty Trotter, board member.
Karen Turner, Employee Relations Director.
Jillian Inglis, Labor Relations Strategic Partner.
Barbara Jones, Municipal Clerk.
And Tyler.
Tyler, go ahead.
Tyler Andrews, board member.
Okay, so we prepared an agenda, and Employee Relations and the Municipal Attorney's Office and the Clerk's Office prepared the agenda. So would you mind?
I move to approve the agenda. Do we need to make a motion to move? Motion to approve,
You
or can
probably,
we
you
directly
should have a
approve?
motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Call for all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion's
Great.
accepted.
Thank you. There obviously are no previous minutes, no old business, and then the new business that we have concern your appointments, your oath of office. We have a brief procedure for small boards, which will tie in perfectly because the chair of the board can make motions in small boards. And then we'll talk about the notice of mediation. And so, Tyler, if you would like to come into the clerk's office, we would be happy to swear you in. But I will swear Ty in. And Ty, we're going to swap.
Okay.
So you have, so here's what I'm just going to have you do. This is my blank oath.
Okay.
And we'll just have you do the blank one.
Okay.
All right? So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
the Constitution of the State of Alaska,
and the Charter of the Municipality of Anchorage,
and the Charter of the Municipality of Anchorage,
and that I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of the Employee Relations Board member
the duties of the Employee Relations Board member
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Excellent.
All right. So then I need your autograph on that, please. And
Would you like it
Thank
just on the
you.
blank?
yes, just if you would just sign here, then I will add the municipal seal and you will be official. Okay, great. Excuse me.
Did you get it for the meeting?
We'll find out.
So the next item that's on the agenda, Dee asked me to cover a brief orientation. So this is in your packets here. If you would like to take a look at that. It's under training. And one of the things we work with Dee on is the Board of Ethics. And so we have done some training for them and for the other boards and commissions that the Assembly Department supports. So a couple of things that I'd really like to highlight, on the third page in, we've got some basic ethical duties. You've got to be careful about using official position in political activity. We have a conflict of interest paragraph so that you know when to disclose if you have a conflict of interest. It has the specific questions that the board would review and the board makes the decision. One of the really important things about conflicts of interest is its disclosure. You have to disclose the conflict. Whether or not you have a conflict is a factual matter, and the board decides whether or not you have a conflict. If the board decides you don't have a conflict, you don't. The Board of Ethics doesn't get to second guess you, but the issue is disclosure. They will get upset if you don't disclose, but they're not going to get upset if they think you've made the wrong decision. That's kind of interesting. On the next page, I mentioned the financial disclosure requirements for board members. All board and commission members have a duty to make a financial disclosure, and your financial disclosure documents are on the next page. It isn't included in the staff, but it's included in the board member packets. So you need to complete that within 30 days and return it to the clerk's office. The disclosure is presented to the Board of Ethics, and then it's kept on file. 2 pages after that, we've got some parliamentary procedures and some Robert's Rules of Order info. I think these are just a couple of cute little graphics that we've made. You know, we think that it's important because it's how things get done. But the great news is on the next page, it talks about Robert's Rules for special rules for, I think, your other direction. Yeah, there you go. So, first of all, the chair can participate in debate. If you've ever watched the assembly, the chair cannot participate in debate. The chair has to hand the gavel to another member who chairs the meeting. And so in a small board, that just doesn't make any sense because then you've effectively silenced one of your members. Similarly, the chair can make a motion. And that's really important because in this circumstance today, we couldn't have approved anything. But it also keeps the meetings moving quickly if the chair can make the motion to approve the minutes or the agenda or something like that. The other issue that's important is discussion is allowed without a motion. So in front of the assembly, we have to have a move to approve and a second, or they cannot discuss the substance of the matter that's before them. So a lot of times someone will start with, you know, I think this ordinance is a bad idea. I don't think that we should stop vaping in town square. You're out of order. There is not a motion on the floor to introduce this item, and that's considered out of order. In this group, it is not. You can discuss anything, even if there isn't a motion pending. There's some other tips here, but I think those were some of the ones that are most important. On the next page, of course, you can always move to call the question to end or limit debate. You do usually have to have a supermajority. It is a 2/3 vote, so that one, and that's whenever you're limiting rights, which you would be limiting debate, you have to have the supermajority. Here's just a little chart that we've made up that has just some little cheats on when you need a first or a second. And then on the following pages, I have some board and commission member responsibilities. And this is so old. I had this when I was at the Equal Rights Commission. So but it's really good stuff, and it just talks about how, you know, attendance is important, participating is important. I have no idea how many boards and commissions we have in the city, but I think we have probably over 400 board and commission members. And we really rely on these citizen volunteers to help us do our jobs in a really fair and transparent and neutral manner. So thank you for that. And so with that is all that I have for the brief procedure on small boards and a little bit of orientation. If you have any questions, I could try and answer your questions.
Actually, I do. So there's 3 that's listed under the Employee Relations Board. So how many would be in attendance on meetings typically? I noticed we had lots of other locations and different names and things like that. How many would actually be participant to the?
There's just 3.
The 3 of you.
It's just you and Pat and Tyler.
Okay, so you brought your tags just
Right,
because?
Right.
Okay.
And
I'm
we
counting
didn't-
up names and going,
we
okay,
didn't
there's
know
5
who
here.
else would be here. Dee has kind of been directing this,
Okay.
and my staff did it, so they knew I'd be here.
That was the 50-cent question, because
Okay.
I didn't know, how many would be present during the typical meetings, things like that, and so.
Well, it's a 3-member board, and
Correct.
so I think I've got your membership right up. We've got 2 forms, so under the membership, it's
Right.
got the 3, and then under attendance, it's got the members as well.
Okay.
And so 2 is required. Have to have 2 of you here, or you can't hold the meeting.
And then there's a staffer
Right.
Okay.
And so in
Keep
your
it straight.
and tape recorder.
yeah.
And the tape recorder.
In your packets, at the very front, we included a letter for you, and I signed the letter welcoming you aboard, and that was out of convenience. I didn't want to run around all day and get other signatures, so, but we made a decision to include 2 staff support people if you have any questions. So David Samsa works for Karen in Employee Relations, and Amy Solberg works for me in the clerk's office. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, you can direct it to either of them, and they'll get you to the right person.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay?
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Any questions from you, Tyler?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, sorry you don't have the materials in front of you.
Right.
Okay, so I think we are on to part B, which is the purpose for you to be here. So I will tell you, there's a little mediation notice, and I think it might be helpful since Tyler can't see it. I'm going to read it into the record. Following that, Tyler, is a letter from Assistant Municipal Attorney Blair Christensen directed to me, as well as a notice pleading before the Employee Relations Board. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But I wanted to let you know that I received these documents, but I said, I think they need more of an explanation. And so I'm going to read the explanatory document first, and then we'll get into the other document. It says, mediation notice. AMC 3.70-100A provides, if 60 days prior to the contract expiration date, the parties have not agreed to a collective bargaining agreement, the board shall select and assign a neutral mediator who shall mediate all further negotiation sessions between the parties until directed otherwise by the board. The board may assign a mediator to assist the parties sooner at the request of the parties. A mediator's function shall be to bring the parties together under such circumstances as will tend to effectuate settlement of the dispute, but neither the mediator nor the board has any power of compulsion in mediation proceedings. The cost of mediation shall be borne by the municipality. Then the memo continues, the municipality, MOA, and the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 367 Union have been in contract negotiations and are seeking mediation. As the collective bargaining agreement has expired, and while the Employee Relations Board was being reconstituted, the parties agreed on a mediator along with a date. As the notice of mediation provides, absent objections by this board, the parties will proceed to mediation on October 12th, 2016. At the request of both parties, it is asked that the board enter its non-objection to the selection of the mediator. And this was prepared by Deetra L. Ennis, Deputy Municipal Attorney, and she provides her phone number. So that's part 1. It is giving you an understanding of what is expected of this board at this meeting. That is, they would like you to enter a non-objection to the selected mediator. So, Tyler, for your benefit, following that page is a letter from Blair Christensen, Assistant Municipal Attorney, that's dated August 25th and directed to me, and I believe it's directed to me again as a neutral, and because Employee Relations is involved in the collective bargaining as well as the Municipal Attorney's Office. And it says, Dear Ms. Jones, I have enclosed the notice that the parties are proceeding to mediation in the matter of the collective bargaining negotiation between plumbers and pipe fitters Local 367 and the municipality of Anchorage. We hope the enclosed notice can be presented to the board at their first meeting on August 31st, 2016. Please contact me if I need to send the notice to someone else. Sincerely, Blair Christensen. And it's also been copied to Chuck Dunnigan, who is the attorney for the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union. Mr. Dunnigan and Ms. Christensen both are available by phone if either of you have any questions before we proceed. On the next page, it's a two-page pleading. Certificate of service is on the second page, but the pleading basically says as follows. Before the Employee Relations Board, in the matter of collective bargaining negotiation between plumbers and pipe fitters Local 367 and the municipality of Anchorage, notice that the parties are proceeding to mediation. Pursuant to AMC 3.70.100, the above parties are notifying the board that they are proceeding to mediation of the collective bargaining agreement that expired July 1, 2016. The parties have tentatively agreed that Matthew Peterson, Esquire, of Clapp, Peterson, Teemuson, Thorson, and Johnson will serve as mediator so long as the board has no objections. Absent objections by the board, the parties will proceed to mediation on October 12, 2016. Respectfully submitted this 9th day of August 2016. William Falsey, Municipal Attorney, signed by Blair Christensen, Assistant Municipal Attorney. And that is where we are at. It is now, you understand the documents and the requests that is before the board, and I will leave it to you to discuss and debate, and you know that it's informal and you don't have to have any motions on the floor to have informal discussion.
What are the consequences of an objection?
That, as being a neutral who is not involved, I do not know the answer to that. We could certainly contact Dee or the parties, or it's possible that Karen and Joanne know the answer to that.
I don't want to slow
Is
the
it-
process, it's more for
Well,
informational sake.
an objection to the mediator, or an objection to the date, or an objection to, it depends on what you're what you might object to.
They're asking that we pass a interim non-objection by this board. At what point would it have, if the two parties, the municipality and the union, had not come to an agreement, would it actually have came before the Employee Relations Board?
Today, because
No.
this is our first meeting.
Right. I mean,
They would have
would-
held it. They would have waited until the board was convened in order to
And
get
then,
to
so
do
we
that.
would have convened, and we would have told them, go ahead and go to mediation, or would we have
Well,
provided?
mediation is the next step. So what you're agreeing to is basically the mediator.
Coming
and-
in and working with them.
Right, basically the mediator they've selected,
Right.
and the date, and that's, I'm
We
actually
wouldn't
sure
have-
you could do the
we
date.
wouldn't- We
but-
would not have operated as the mediator
No.
ourselves. All we're doing is making improvement for them to go to mediation.
Well, as I understand it, what they're telling us here is in absence of a board at the time, they have voluntarily, through the mutual agreement of the parties, decided to go to mediation. Had there been a board constituted, from what I'm remembering you read to me, there may have been an opportunity where the parties could have come before the board, or the board could have been noticed of some kind of impasse or bargaining difficulty, and the board could have ordered mediation. But in this case, since they're going voluntarily, they're just kind of seeking this notice of non-objection. Is that correct?
Based on AMC 370-100A,
Yes.
in part, the parties have not agreed to a collective bargaining agreement. The board shall select and assign a neutral mediator who shall mediate all further negotiation sessions.
Right.
So
you
what
wouldn't-
has happened is they mutually agreed themselves, and then now they're bringing the board, now that the board is formed, they're asking the board to,
Okay.
Basically
Grant
approves the mediator. So if there's
Approve the
a,
mediator.
it's not the mediation itself, because that's just the next step, but if you
Correct.
had a problem with the mediator, we could pull us back and
Right.
redo that part.
So,
That's
but
the small
basically,
piece.
in absence of a board, they went
Correct.
ahead and took care of their own issues
In-
as part of the process, and so they're just asking for non-objection because, I would assume normally, not normally, I would assume in the event that the board had to initiate this or order the mediation, then the steps would have been a little bit different as far
Right,
as.
or even if you hadn't ordered it, just the next progression would have been for you guys to select the mediator as opposed to
Right.
these
But
guys
we're
doing
not
it
doing any of
themselves.
that because the parties mutually
Agreed.
In the interest of time, while we were
Timeliness.
trying to get this board together, so.
Excellent. Okay. So I will make a motion to accept, I will make a motion to submit a declaration of what are the words I'm looking for? Non-objection
Mhm.
to the aspect of them going forward with their mediation.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. One more aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And that's passed.
The ayes have it.
Okay.
All right. That is all of the business that I have been instructed, based on the agenda that was approved by Employee Relations in the Municipal Attorney's Office. I don't know, is there any other business that either of the members would like to bring before the board?
Scheduling of the next date. What provisions are there in place for updating of calendars or being able to look into the crystal ball of what might be coming?
I do not know the answer to that. I can tell you that some of the things that other boards do, they have a standing meeting every quarter. We can calendar it we have a boards and commissions calendar that through the municipality so that people can be updated that way, but I do not know what is in the pike.
All right. These generally get scheduled when there's work to perform, but what I will let you know is that we have another contract negotiation that started on Monday with IBEW, and Teamsters starts, they haven't picked a date yet, but sometime probably in October. So just for update information, I don't know if you guys might want to convene more frequently while we're going through this process, just for the information we're allowed to update you on, which isn't much, to tell you the truth. Obviously, during negotiations, we can't really discuss much, but I mean, we could, there's
So
probably some
what-
minimal information we can provide.
Does anybody have Pat's email with her availability? I know she sent that to everybody, and I can't remember what her dates were. She's out of the country, right?
I don't have that info, I'm sorry.
Well, let me look. So I think because we really need to get this organizational thing out of the way and all that kind of stuff. So
And David Samsa might have that information. I think you have his contact information somewhere. If not, I can provide it.
Yeah, he's,
you want me to go check with him, because I think they're trying to set a date.
Yeah, you can go see if he
So
knows
she's
Pat's.
not going to be back. She's not back until October 1st. So the question would be, for you and me, would we wait until sometime during the first week of October to hold the organizational meeting, or would we do it in advance?
No, I actually would prefer to wait to get the third voice for declaration, which is fine. It doesn't sound like we're going to have anything between now and then anyways, unless literally everything fell apart. So I would say easily the first or second week of October would be more than fine. That, and I'll be somewhere in Canada between the 15th of September and the 1st of October myself, so whether or not I have any.
Well, that's the only thing we really need to do is head towards scheduling. I mean,
Yeah,
I appreciate the heads up on the amount of bargaining that's going on, and if for whatever reason, we need to meet resulting from that or anything else, it's not that big a deal.
right.
Get something scheduled, but we really ought to make an effort to get the organizational meeting done sometime in early October. If somebody there could send out a proposed date.
So either, I would say probably the 6th of October, that's a Thursday.
Do you want me to send out a little doodle poll and we'll pick a couple of dates? Either like maybe the 6th, the 12th, the 13th, see if, and then is this time good, 4 to 5?
Let's see, yes, as long as it's in those 2 weeks.
Okay, so let me go ahead and send a little doodle poll out to everybody to see which one works the best. And then we'll shoot for one of those dates in early October,
Perfect.
Excellent, thank you.
okay?
Then we can do the rest of the procedures.
So, with no other business before us,
Okay, and Tyler, you're going to wait till the next meeting for your swearing in and so forth, is that correct? Or do you need this?
if I can run down to the clerk's office tomorrow, I'll take care of it.
Okay, and can you pick up one of these?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
my
I can
binder?
I can take his
Okay.
binder.
And you'll have, you can pick up your binder at that time too.
Sure.
Okay, so I move to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Wow.
We're officially adjourned.